Christmas, I made almost 20,000. She was a runway model in Malaysia until I stole her. And I really like being outside the US. I like discovering the world. So learn how to save money as you travel. Slip and fall or whatever, and we end up in the hospital. If we don't have health insurance, they could take our house. Most people think to travel the world costs a lot of money.
Hello and welcome back to Living Abroad. In today's video, I'm going to sit down with Dan from Vagabond Awake with over 100,000 subscribers. I've been doing this for a long time. I'm going to sit down with him, pick his brain, and see if we can get him to spill some of his secrets. If you're new to the channel, guys, do me a huge favor before we sit down with him. Hit that subscribe button and hit that like button. Let's get out there and speak to Dan. Hi, what's your name?
My name is Dan. I'm of Vagabond Awake. It's a YouTube channel.
Where are you from, Dan?
I'm from the USA, mostly West Side, Oregon, California. Spent a little bit on the East Coast also.
What brings you down here to the Philippines?
I travel the world now, and I write reports about the best places in the world to retire cheap in paradise. And most of the places I go are to try to serve people who are retiring soon, and they're not going to have as much money as they thought they would. Their check may only, their Social Security check may be only $1,500 or $2,000 or $2,500 a month, and so it's going to be tough for them to retire in a place like the U.S. or Europe, and so they're looking for alternatives, and so I show them the world.
Okay, nice. So I heard about you through a live stream. A few of my subscribers were talking about, I gotta meet you because you're the real deal, and they're telling me how you're making money in the tens of thousands. So I'm like, there's no way. So I looked at your channel. I want to know, this is, you're very candid, very honest. How are you making your income abroad? Is it from these like posts, or how are you making money?
Well, so most YouTubers just put up YouTube videos, and they just make their money from YouTube. But the key is if you have a product or service that's valuable to your audience, and your niche, my niche is Retire Cheap in Paradise, is teaching about that, then what your videos do is it draws them into your web page. And for example, my web page, I have over 200 reports about the best places to retire in the world.
Okay.
And I have a course called the Retire Overseas course, and I have another course called the Hobby Income course, which teaches people how to make money with their hobby. So people like me who are older and they want to retire soon, they want to reduce their cost of living so they can live in a beautiful place like the Philippines, or just anywhere. Like I have reports on 19 different countries all over the world, and I travel all over the world. And so it gives them options about where to live, but they also want to make a little bit of extra money, another 500 or 1,000. And that's what the Hobby Income course does. It teaches them how to make money with their hobby. So instead of it just being something you enjoy doing, it's also something you teach people. Not everyone uses their hobby. Some people do other things. Maybe it's something they know about real estate or trading or something. And if they teach something of value, then people come. They'll come to their webpage and learn about them, find out what they have to offer and what the pricing is. And if it makes sense to them, they'll buy their service. So my YouTube channel usually makes me around anywhere from about 2,000 to 6,000 a month, depending on how many views I get. And then I make another 2 to 3 times that much. Like last December, I made over Christmas, I made almost 20,000. It was like 18,500 or something. And so my income varies between about 6,000 and 18,000 a month now. But that doesn't happen fast. It takes some time to develop your channel, which will get you the audience, and then the content has to be about whatever the channel's about, and that brings them in, and then you provide even more value on your paid content. And I use memberships for that.
Okay, excellent, man. Thank you for sharing all that information. I'm sure very valuable. And you have a lot of fans and you have a lot of subscribers, so I know they can confirm everything you said. Now, you've been to a lot of places and I want to know about them, but before I do that, what's your relationship status? Tell me a little bit about that. Are you married? Are you single?
I travel the world with my girlfriend, Chung. She's from Malaysia.
Okay.
She also has a channel. It's called Hobo Ventures.
Okay.
I talk more about cost of living. She talks more about food, street food, nice, all different kinds of food. She's really a foodie, and it's kind of crazy because she's actually a half-inch taller than me.
Yeah.
She's like 6 foot tall.
Yeah, she seems fairly tall in the video.
She was a runway model in Malaysia until I stole her to travel the world with me. And so even though she loves food and she eats all day, it seems like she never puts on any weight. I've been trying to get her to teach what she knows about maintaining body weight, because she has a very healthy body. She's got muscle and everything. She's not, she's not super skinny. She's she's well toned, and so maybe I can convince her to do that.
Tell me about your favorite country. I know it's very hard. I know it's like saying pick your favorite kid or something, but yeah, what is your favorite country and why? I'd love to know.
Well, I think it's easier to pick like categories. Like if you said to me, what are your favorite countries for beaches? Or what are your favorite countries for cities? Or what are your favorite countries for food? That it's a little easier. Just straight up favorite country. I actually do a report every year about that, and it's, if you Google Vagabond Awake, which is my YouTube channel, and something like best countries to retire in 2023, it'll come up. But this year I ranked Ubud, Bali, Indonesia, #1 because it's up in the mountains, it's a little cooler, and we found great accommodations there. I think our apartment was like $300.
That's awesome. I just came from Ubud, so that's a beautiful place. I agree. Yeah,
it is, and we're getting meals. It's great. I'm vegetarian, by the way.
Okay.
Great vegetarian meals for like $1.50, $2. So we were just living high on the hog there for very little money. I love that. But I also love the Philippines. I love Thailand, and I don't know. I think it actually. Every country has something about it that's really amazing, and it often starts with the people and the food, and then nature. And all of Southeast Asia probably is my favorite in the world. And then I probably it would be tougher after that to say maybe either maybe Mexico or other parts of Latin America would probably come in a close second.
Okay. Well, do you miss anything back home? I'm curious. Like, you've been abroad for a while, so what's the biggest thing you miss from living in the U.S.?
I left the USA in 2007, so it's been 16 years ago I've been doing this. Now, I've only had my channel really going for about 5 years, so that's a different part of the story. But maybe the first 6 months I missed food. But now that I've learned about the foods of the world, I really don't miss anything. Only my family and friends.
Yeah, for sure.
And I try to go back like at least every other year, spend Christmas there, or Thanksgiving, or maybe go to, if someone's getting married or holiday or something like that, I'll go back. But I really like being outside the US. I like discovering the world. It's a very exciting place.
Now, a lot of people would love to be in our position, to travel the world and see things they want to see, but there's always something holding them back. They're hesitant. Maybe it's finances, maybe it's family or something. What would you tell those people that are kind of on the fence? What advice would you give them?
Well, first thing I would tell them is something you just said. They're not as lucky as us.
Yes.
Just so you guys know, Alex is interviewing me on his channel right now, but I'm also I'm interviewing Alex on my channel right after this. So when this video is over, if you go over to my channel, you can watch me asking Alex questions and you can learn more about it.
Definitely.
How to do this? Okay, most people think to travel the world costs a lot of money, and it's true if you do it like in the movies.
Yeah.
You know, where they're flying first class and they're staying in penthouses and all that kind of thing. But for most of the world, at least the retired cheap in paradise parts of the world, if you stay somewhere for like a month and you go to like Airbnb, or you put your feet on the ground in a country and walk the neighborhood you like, you'll find for rent signs, or on Airbnb, you'll find a place you like. And because you're staying there for a month or longer, you'll find prices in parts of the world where, starting around $300 or $400 a month for rent, which includes your utilities, your Wi-Fi and everything. And so that's not that expensive. The food is often less than half the cost in the US, sometimes only a third or 25%. And so if you watch my videos and Alex's videos, you'll learn how to save money as you travel. And then, so that's part of it. The other part is you probably have it, maybe if you're not yet retirement age, you don't have a pension, so you need to earn a little bit of extra money. So before you leave, you need to figure out a way to get an income on the internet or whatever. Various people talk about that, but I also do that on my page, the Hobby Income Course. So those are the two things. You want to get your costs down and get your income up. That way you don't have to wait as long before you leave. The income doesn't have to get up to your US income or your European or Canadian or whatever. It just has to get up enough to pay for these prices, not your own prices.
I agree. A lot of people are concerned about health insurance, medical stuff. Have you had to go to the hospital, anything while you've been traveling
When
abroad?
I first left the USA, I was in India and I had a pain in my side, and I went to the hospital, and I was in the hospital for 5 days. And it wasn't just like, okay, now India has different levels of hospitals. This was probably the nicest hospital in the city I was in, and I was in that hospital for 5 days. And I had 3 doctors. They did every kind of CAT scans and MRIs, and they had me on antibiotics and 3 meals a day. And I was in a private room with a couch in it, And my girlfriend at the time, this is before I even met Chung.
Yeah.
This is 15 years ago. There was a couch there she could sleep on, and she was eating the food. The whole bill
Yeah.
for 5 days was $1,600. That's not the deductible. That was the whole
Goodness.
bill out the door.
Yeah.
And to give you an idea of how crazy it can be. Now it's 16 years later. Who knows? That might be 3,000 now.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I haven't been to India in the last 10 years, but most of the world does not have these crazy medical expenses like we see in the U.S. In Canada, I suppose you have public health care,
Yeah.
but we don't. And so we have to worry in the U.S. We have to worry about slip and fall or whatever, and we end up in the hospital. And if we don't have health insurance, they could take our house. They could
Yes.
attach our wages for years. And so the other thing great about getting outside the U.S., even if you're pay as you go, there's lots of cases where what you're going to pay in medical is only 25 or 30 or 40,
Yeah.
maybe more depending on the country and what happens, but it's way less than you'd pay in the U.S. So, and then of course you have health insurance. If you're moved to one country and stay there, then what I recommend you do is to go to one of the Facebook pages there, find someone who's permanent local in that area that's bought local insurance, and then you can find local prices. And so expat pages are pages for that country where foreigners go. For example, English speaking people, they would have a web page and they all go there to find out information for each other. So if you were to Google like expats in the Philippines or expats in Dumaguete, one of the cities, you'd find a web page where a bunch of people share this kind of information. Get the name of an insurance agent, go get a couple bids. And I just talked to a guy yesterday. I have a film dropping tonight where a guy that I interviewed, he was paying like $1,000 a month in US for insurance. His insurance now is $3,000 a year, to give you an idea. So it's way cheaper outside the
Not
US.
bad at all. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So if you can tell me which is the first country, I guess basically the top choice. You've been to many places, right?
Yeah.
Many people have never been outside the US or Canada.
Yeah.
And just to get their like foot in the water, whatever,
Right.
where's the first country you recommend them to go just to get an experience what it's like to live abroad?
Yeah. Okay. So when you first retire or when you first move overseas,
Mhm.
it's going to be a little bit of a struggle, maybe the first 6 months, because you don't know where to eat. You don't know what the food is. You'll open up a menu and you won't recognize the food.
Yeah.
And it won't feel right. Like when you go to a coffee shop or you go to a park or whatever country you live in, you have routines that you don't even realize you have. And then you show up in a new country, they're using different words for things, so you'll feel a little disoriented. It takes a while to get your orientation. But after you've done that in the first country, what happens is you'll find out there's like a pattern to it.
Yeah.
Where you learn how what the foods are and what to do with your time and how people have fun, and there's a pattern to it. Now if you only go to one country, you'll learn that, boom, it's over. But if you want to travel like I do, not everyone does, then you'll have to do that over and over again. So you'll use that knowledge you learned in the first country. But your question was, what's a good country for a first country?
Yeah.
And so what I would pick is what I call a beginner friendly country.
Yeah, exactly.
And that would be a country that speaks English maybe, and that has some of the foods you're used to eating. So even after a few days, if you get in a jam and you want to find a chain restaurant that you eat in your home country, like a McDonald's kind of thing, or a Subway sandwich or Domino pizza, this kind of thing, they're there. So those are the kind of countries, like you'll find that stuff in Mexico, you'll find it in the Philippines, you'll find it in Thailand. That's really just the top countries that your friends talk about if you haven't left the country, where they go visit. Most or many of those if they're English speaking and they have those kind of chain restaurants, pretty much everything else takes care of itself.
Got it. Now last question is, would you go back and live in the US?
Absolutely not. And now the only exception to that would be if someone in my family was hurt and they needed someone by their side. One of the great things about my life is I'm not stuck anywhere. I can go back to the US. When both my parents passed away, I was able to go back to spend a month with each of them before they passed away. And so that would be the only, but permanent, go there, live. I don't know, to me, there's nothing wrong with the US. I mean, it's going through some political chaos right now. A lot of people are upset about what's going on, one way or the other. It doesn't matter which side you're on. I don't know, to me it's just kind of stressful there, and it's just kind of free and easy once I leave home.
Right.
And it's exciting. You're learning stuff all the time when you travel. You're meeting interesting people like Alex here,
Yeah.
and to me it's just it's a more interesting life. It's better.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And as Dan mentioned, I got an interview coming up on his channel. So just click in the description down below. I'm going to leave the link to that interview. Show some love, show some support. He's obviously very intelligent, well-traveled. He makes some very informative content. You know, a lot of my stuff is just entertainment, but you know, Dan's got some really informative stuff. So show some love. Tell him Alex sent you if you're new to this channel. And thank you for being here.
Thank you, Alex.
Awesome.
It's nice meeting you.
You as well. And that was Dan, guys. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think of his story. Everything you heard, I'd love to hear from you. If he's taking time to write it, I'd take time to respond. And go check out my video, because Dan interviewed me as well on his channel. I'm going to leave the link down below. So if you want to hear my story, if you haven't heard it yet, check out Dan's channel. And he's got a lot of information, a lot of good stuff. So subscribe to his channel. Tell him Alex sent you. Show him some love. And if you found this video informative, show some love to me. Hit the subscribe button. We're working our way to 100,000 subscribers. Hopefully soon we'll get there. I'll see you guys in the next videos with more interviews, more local things, and even more live streams. Anyways, see you guys in the next one. Bye.